Hi, everybody. This is Shri. Welcome back to my channel, Vedic Living. And today I want to talk to you about the overall predictions for the month of July. There is a lot happening in the sky this month. And don't leave in the end because I am going to talk about sign by sign predictions for this month. Okay. So that's going to be based on your moon sign or your ascendant sign. You should be able to understand what's coming up for this month at a high level. And hopefully that will help you guide through your life with the power of Vedic astrology. So before I go further, I do want to tell you my website, vedic-living.com. Make sure you go to my website, use the free chart calculator, because when I do the sign predictions at the end, remember these are the sidereal Vedic degrees of the planets. It's not the Western degrees. So if you're going to look at it from, your Western zodiac or your sun sign, it will not work. Okay. Vedic sidereal degrees are true to the placement of the planets in the sky today. So it is very different, most of the time from your Western placements, ascendant, and all of that. So in order to know what your ascendant is or your moon sign, you can go to my website, vedic-living.com, and use the free chart calculator, calculate your chart. And it's very easy to see the lagna or the ascendant sign, zodiac sign, and the moon sign. Okay, so if you don't know the time of birth, you can go with the moon sign. The moon is not always in the same sign for a whole day, but if it is in the early degrees of that sign or even towards the middle, you can rest assured it's going to be in that sign for that day. The problem is if the moon is in the last degrees, and then there is a possibility that it can go on to the next sign in during the day. So remember that when you pull up your chart, and use that information when I give you the sign by sign predictions about how the month of July is going to be for you. While you're on my website, sign up for my free newsletter. I'm sending out weekly predictions now. It's not just monthly. So you do get a very helpful handbook almost every week about the upcoming week. So this should help you navigate life even better. My goal is to give you the astrological information that can help you navigate and guide or throw light on your path in life and make sense of things, right? That's what astrology helps us do. So with that being said, I'm going to start looking at these charts here, which I have up on my screen, and start understanding what the predictions for the month of July are. So the month of July has a couple of very volatile transits, okay? Mars, as you know, right now as I speak, is in Aries, around 25 degrees of Aries. And around July 12th, Mars is going to enter Taurus. Now, this means a lot of things. I mean, whatever Taurus signifies in your chart, whatever house it signifies, that's the area that Mars will kind of start flavoring in the month of July. And wherever Mars goes, and I've told you guys this in the past, but I'm just going to remind you that Mars is a trigger planet, okay? So it is quick moving, it's fast, it makes events happen. So that's the reason why as astrologers, we always look at where Mars is going during a month. The fact that it's going into Taurus, it means very important things. One, Taurus is the natural second house. So it does rule the finances, the economy. There's going to be some major upheavals in the economy in the coming month, from July all the way to August. But what is interesting is while Mars is in Taurus, it is going to intersect with a couple of very, very special planets, right? Because Uranus, as you know, is already in Taurus around 1 degree. Mars is going to interact or conjunct with Uranus around July 17th. This is an important transaction because Uranus is a very slow-moving planet. Mars is quick. So it triggers an event when it comes together with Uranus. The reason why this sector of the sky is even more volatile is because the degree at which Mars comes together with Uranus is, if you remember what I've said in the past, around that 2-degree, 3-degree mark of Taurus is the treacherous fixed star called Algol. Now, Algol, I've mentioned this in the past too, is the symbology of this fixed star is beheading. Now, back in the day, it may have been physically beheading, right, as a punishment for one's crimes. But today, this has more of a symbolic representation too, as in people losing their minds, right? The events are so triggering that people are literally reacting without thinking, right? They're losing their minds. So with the Mars-Uranus conjunction happening around the 17th of July, and I think this will probably have impact till about a week from there. It is a very important one. If you have planets around that 2-degree mark, that's where this is going to be of major importance. One of the celebrities who I do know has important placements at that degree mark in Taurus is Donald Trump. Now, Trump's Sun and Rahu, if I remember right, are in the last degrees of Taurus, around the 20-degree mark. But Trump has his midheaven, which is the highest point in the chart, which indicates career, right? The midheaven indicates your career and public image, exactly at that 1 to 2-degree mark of Taurus. So this is very important because that Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to happen exactly on Donald Trump's midheaven, which means around that time, mid-July till the end of July, is a very treacherous time for him. Very changing, very volatile, unstable kind of time. In his public image, right? Because it's the midheaven, it's his career, it's his work, it's his public image, it's what people perceive of him. So this is definitely something to watch. Okay. Now another thing is Uranus by itself, I've said this in the past, does symbolize earth changes, earthquakes, unstable things happening with the earth, like volcanic eruptions or tsunamis or floods and those kind of things, and nature, right? Taurus, the sign Taurus signifies nature. So with the Mars-Uranus conjunction happening there, mid-July to mid-August is when we are at a high risk for a difficult earth event. It can be an earthquake, it can be a volcanic eruption, it can be a tsunami or a storm of some sort. It is definitely flavored by that Uranus, which signifies unexpected events. And it is also flavored by the Mars, which is violent. So there is some, unexpected violence that's going to happen between that time frame when Mars and Uranus are together. So I'm thinking from July 17th till the end of July. Okay. So we need to watch that. Now, between all this, around July 9th, earlier in the month of July, before we get to this difficult time frame, Jupiter is going to aspect the south node of the moon, Ketu. This is a spiritual awakening. So even though these tough, difficult transits are going on in the sky, with Jupiter's aspect on the Ketu, it gives people the ability to kind of take the high road, right? To be more patient with what is happening, to understand that there is a karmic undertone to these events. So that is a good transit in the beginning of July. So between about July 8th to the 10th, you can expect that Jupiter aspecting the Ketu. There'll be a lot of things that you will see in the news and such about spiritual things and people teaching classes which have to do with yoga and meditation and spirituality related things. So I think that's a pretty good transit. Now, the new moon for this month is going to be in Gemini. This new moon is going to be on July 5th, right after the July 4th holiday. And it's in Gemini. It is pretty important because the early degrees of Gemini, where this is happening, is also a very difficult placement in terms of nakshatras, right? So the new moon is, what we are seeing is there could be some indications of storms, and don't forget, Mars is getting pretty close to the Uranus, right? So there could be indications of storms and sudden changes in terms of communications, because Gemini rules internet and telecommunications. There could be media related things, news related, revelations, secrets being exposed. Because remember, the new moon is coming from the dark into the light. So it always has the tendency to expose things that were hidden. So that is definitely another thing to remember because of the sign Gemini. Early degrees is where the new moon is happening. The full moon on July 21st is going to be very close to Pluto. And that is another important aspect because Pluto is transformation. Not always easy. It's a difficult kind of conjunction, but it does rule transformation in terms of change. So this is happening in the second house for United States, in the house of finance and economy. So a lot of questions will be raised around that full moon timeframe during the end of July as to government, mandates and rules and taxes and things that have to do with economy and finance. So that's definitely another thing to watch. Now, Saturn will go retrograde in a couple of days from now. And once it's retrograde in Aquarius, it'll go backwards. And if you have planets in Aquarius, it's going to hit your natal planets again. It's going to be retrograde for a few months. Now, here's the thing with Saturn retrograde. Saturn is a slow moving planet. It does not bring sudden, impulsive, big changes, okay? Saturn usually brings karmic retribution. So especially when it goes retrograde, it calls into question actions that have been taken in the past when Saturn was going direct. So the past couple of years, whatever actions have been taken, they are called into question for karmic purposes. So when it goes retrograde, you're revisiting things from the past 2 years. And you're reassessing them and looking at them again and seeing where you could have done better, learning some new things about how things can be done in a better way. Depending on where Saturn is in your chart, a lot of karmic learnings can happen in that area. For example, if Saturn retrograde is in your 5th house, these karmic lessons could happen through your children, right? Through your relationship with your children. So there may have been decisions that you made maybe for your children, or some discussions that happened in the past 2 years, which were very important, which when Saturn goes retrograde, those things could be brought back up again for reassessment, right? Should I do this or should I not do this? Or why did you tell me to do this? And all those different karmic things will come up, which will have the potential for you and your child to grow tremendously. So that's just an example. If it's in the 5th house, it can be in any house. If it's in the 7th, that's with your relationship partner or your business partner. If it's in the 10th, it's probably with your superior at work. That's where those relationships, those specific people in your life will come forward to teach you certain karmic lessons. And while it's not pleasant, it is very, very important for growth, for what we are here on this planet for, right? So that is another big thing that's happening. End of this month of June, Saturn is going to go retrograde. And when it goes backwards, things are delayed. You'll notice everywhere in the world, in any aspect, in any area that you're looking at, there are delays, right? Saturn goes backwards because it wants you to review what was done in the past, and it doesn't really want you to start anything new. So just remember that. Those are the major transits for this month, and not to mention Venus and Mercury will be in Cancer, which is a pretty good amicable kind of area. So when I do the sign by sign predictions, whatever Cancer is for your sign, you will notice there are good things happening in that area of your life in the month of July. Okay, So I'm going to look at sign by sign, one by one, I'm going to go into each sign. And if your ascendant or your moon is in that sign, then we are going to talk about the predictions for that area. So the first sign we are going to talk about is Aries. If your ascendant or your moon is in the sign of Aries, first of all, Mars is in Aries for a little bit as we speak right now in the first house. It's going to move over into Taurus in your second house for most of July. So a lot of the impact of Mars and that Mars-Uranus conjunction we talked about is going to be in your second house, which signifies finances, money, your speech, the food that you consume, and your family, right? So if you're an Aries rising or Aries moon, then remember that there could be some major expenses this month, right? Because it's in the second house of money and wealth. But at the same time, what I need you to do is make sure you're careful what you're saying, because, the second house rules what you say. It rules your speech. With Mars there, you can be very impulsive. You can say things and then want to take it back. And of course, like we know, we can't take back what we said. So whenever I see Mars transiting the second house, I advise my clients to be a little careful when you speak. Think about it first, because Mars can make you very quick to say things, and you may regret it later. Now, with the Jupiter, Uranus, Mars, and all these planets in the second house, you could be spending a lot of time with your family this month, because second house is your family. It's people who you're associated with. But be careful of your diet, because that Mars-Uranus conjunction is happening in your second house. There can be unexpected disturbances due to the food that you're consuming. So if you're planning to travel and such, be very careful, because, don't change your diet too much. Because not only is Mars-Uranus going to be in your second house, Ketu is in your sixth house. So your health is very, very, it needs to be watched at this time, okay? Now, Jupiter rules the 12th, it's in the second, which means that expenses can be there. That's what I was initially saying. And the new moon will happen in your third house, which means that there could be something regarding your siblings, your co-workers, or your cousins, people who are at the same level as you. There could be something that's exposed to you this month, okay? Now, Venus, Mercury for most of July will be in Cancer in your fourth house. So once again, bringing us back to that theme of family and, coming together, community, spending time with your loved ones. So this is an absolutely good month for that. Maybe you're traveling to go meet these people. So, I think this is a good thing. Now, Saturn retrograde will happen in your 11th house. And this is an important thing to remember, because remember I was saying how Saturn brings karmic lessons from a particular area, wherever that Saturn retrograde is happening in your chart. For you, it's in your 11th house, right? That has to do with friends and social connections. So any of these, like social media, people who are on like group chats with you or friends, those are the areas where you'll have some major karmic lessons to learn from, okay? Maybe you may decide that, I don't want to be on social media so much, because Saturn can bring a detachment from that area. Maybe you're hurt by something that happened on one of these friend chats or something, and you decide to take a step back and take a break from it. So things like that could happen with Saturn going retrograde. Embrace it, because this is definitely something that life is preparing you to do something better in future, right? Everything happens in life for a reason. So I think that's something you should remember when you think about these retrograde things, right? They are definitely lessons that are preparing you for something bigger in future, okay? Now, Rahu is in your 12th house, which means you're probably thinking about traveling on vacations to foreign places, or even long distance travel. Now, your dreams can be very active at this time, because 12th house rules your dreams. So watch that, and maybe keep a dream journal. There could be things from the past that could come out of your dreams. You could be thinking about people who have passed on, or, past relationships, things like that. Now, if your ascendant or your moon is in Taurus, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to happen in your first house. Mars is going to be in your first house for most of July, which means that you are really focused on yourself, on your appearance. Maybe you might change things about your appearance. You might even be really focused on your dreams, on your ambitions. You might feel a little let down by your career because you're looking to do something bigger and better in future. I say that is because while Mars, Uranus, Jupiter are all on your first house, bringing the focus back to yourself, Saturn retrograde is going to be in your 10th house of career. So I think, you're starting to feel a little stuck where you are. And this can also mean that there's going to be some disagreements with your superiors at work. So just be careful of that. Saturn retrograde can bring some major realizations about things that have happened in the past 2 years in your career area. So just be a little aware of that. Venus and Mercury is going to be in your third house, which means you're going to have a good relationship with your co-workers, your cousins, your siblings. You might even go meet them. Third house is the house that rules communication. So you're really, paying attention to what you say. This is the opposite of the Aries rising people, right? As a Taurus rising with good planets in the third house, you are very soft-spoken and very nice in the way you say things. You're very diplomatic, right? The new moon happens in your second house in Gemini, which means that you're going to learn some very hidden facts about your finances. There may be some things that you're going to think of doing that to improve your finances, yes. But at the same time, things that were hidden from you in the past is going to be exposed to you. So that's definitely something to watch. Now, the Rahu-Ketu axis is as a Taurus rising happening in your 5th and 11th house, which means that your children might be a little difficult at this time, maybe a little stubborn, maybe butting heads with you a little bit. But at the same time, you are expanding your friend groups, your connections, your networking, you're, meeting a lot of important people. This is definitely the month to do that, okay? Rahu is powerful friends, in fact, in your 11th house. Now, do be careful about deception from friends because Neptune is sitting there. So even though you're expanding your friend circles and social settings, just be a little aware of the fact that Neptune can bring some experience of being betrayed by a friend. So be careful what you share, okay, just this month. Now, if your ascendant or your moon is in the sign of Gemini, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to happen in your 12th house. So watch your sleep. You might be staying up late trying to figure out things, trying to research things. So, you have to watch your health and watch your sleep because that's the 12th house. Your dreams can be very vivid. You could have very psychic and premonition-like dreams. So keep a dream journal. Jupiter is sitting in your 12th house. You could feel very spiritual, very enlightened, very awakened at this time, not only physically, that's why I said watch your sleep, but also spiritually, right? You're realizing a lot of things about the past. And, if you plan to do like past life regression or meditation or hypnotherapy, this is a great time to do it. Jupiter is in your 12th house. And you will have Venus, Mercury in your second house. So finances are going to do well this year. Although I have to say with the Jupiter, Mars, Uranus conjunction in your 12th house, there can also be some unexpected expenses. Okay. I don't want you to worry too much about it because the Venus, Mercury in the second house will give you the money to spend. It might be that you're investing it in something, right? Now, Saturn retrograde is going to be in your 9th house. So if your father is still around, this could mean that you need to watch what you say to your father because Saturn retrograde brings major karmic realizations about the relationship with your father, things that you could do differently to make your relationship heal, make it better. If your father is not around, then retrograde Saturn in the 9th house can mean you're thinking about him. There could be dreams. With all that activity in your 12th house, you could be dreaming about the past, about memories of your father could come back, which the brain has to kind of resolve and reassess. So that could be something that will happen. Rahu in your 10th house will bring you great career gains, and you will be recognized for the work you're doing in your career, because remember, Venus, Mercury is in your 2nd house of finances, and Rahu is in the 10th house of career. So, you will finally feel like, what you're doing is making some impact, right? So that's good. Now, you will have the new moon on your 1st house, which means that you could be looking this month to change something about your appearance or the way you portray yourself to everybody else. The 1st house is your image, right? What you want people to see you as. So with the new moon there, you realize that you want to make some major changes there, right? You're going from the dark into the light. So things are changing there. So, embrace those changes. This might be something very important for the future. Now, you will have Ketu in the 4th house, which means your home will be a spiritual oasis at this time. You're really wanting to make your home a very nice, safe, and spiritual place with Ketu there, but there could be some unforeseen expenses in your home front, okay? There may be some things that are making you dissatisfied about your home too. So, just be careful of that. With Rahu in the 10th and Ketu in the 4th, you could be spending more time at work. Okay, that could be one of the things. So, and, less time with your family. So that could be something to watch this month as a Gemini rising. Try not to take too much stress with your career, though. Rahu in the 10th can bring undue stress. So remember to take deep breaths and relax. And remember, everything is a part of life, right? Everything that happens is required as per the grand scheme of things, right? It's a design that's getting executed here. So remember that as a Gemini rising. Now, if your ascendant or your moon is in Cancer, then the Uranus Mars conjunction is going to happen in your 11th house, which means there are some sudden unforeseen conflicts or disagreements with your friends or somebody from your social circle. Jupiter is there though, which means you're protected. You do have a lot of friends that you're hanging out with, but Mars Uranus can make you a little impulsive there about what you say. So just be a little aware of that. Venus Mercury will be on your 1st house as a Cancer rising person, which means you are feeling good. You're feeling good about your appearance. You're feeling good about how people perceive you. You feel like, you're able to finally feel comfortable in your skin, right? And your dreams and ambitions are very important to you at this time. You're really assessing things because, retrograde Saturn will be in your 8th house, which means that you are really looking at metaphysical growth. There's a lot of spiritual growth happening within you, especially when you're sleeping in your dreams. The new moon is in your 12th house, which is your sleep, and your dreams. So a lot of things are coming out through your psychic senses while you sleep, and you're realizing a lot of things, especially when you wake up in the mornings. And you're trying to understand the past. This is all about your past. And Ketu is in your 3rd house, so traveling might get delayed a little bit this month. 3rd house is a house of travels and learning. You might be, if you're trying to learn something new, or if you're trying to travel, although I have to say the Rahu in the 9th house means that long distance travels could do better. Short distance travels could be a little difficult. Your siblings might be a little difficult to handle this month. And but overall, that Venus Mercury on your ascendant as a Cancer rising individual, I think is a great placement for you, even though there are some little things here with psychic and intuitive awareness happening, which doesn't just not always bad, right? It just means that you are realizing things from the depths of your subconscious and understanding what it means for you. or your moon is in Leo, that means the Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to happen in your 10th house, which means that you have to be careful when you speak to your superiors at work. You may be a little impulsive with your career. Jupiter is there, which means that you are growing, but you can feel a little frustrated in the month of July. About, things may be going too slow, or you're not able to grow as fast as you want. It may have to do with your business if you have a business, because retrograde Saturn is in your 7th house. So, just be a little patient with these changes that are happening, because this month you may feel a little triggered and frustrated by these things in your business or your workplace. Now, retrograde Saturn being in your 7th house means you have major realizations and karmic lessons coming through your spouse or your business partner, because you're understanding how to deal with this relationship in the best possible way, how to make the best of it, how to grow through your relationship with your spouse, which is very important. And while it may not be pleasant, it will definitely strengthen the relationship for the long term, because Saturn is long term, right? So embrace what those learnings are, because it will definitely strengthen the foundation of your relationship. And then Ketu goes into your 2nd house. So you are worried about your finances. You're thinking about your money situation. You want to try and make more money, look at more revenue streams. So you are a little concerned about that. And whatever comes out of this will ultimately be a good thing for you financially. But this is definitely a month where there could be some expenses. Venus, Mercury in your 12th house, you are feeling very psychic and intuitive in this month. Things are, making sense to you. That is happening in your dreams. Like I said, 12th house is unconscious mind. It's your dreams. So keep a dream journal. You could be traveling to foreign places. You could be having some trips and travel coming up. Because, with this transit going on in your 12th house, it typically means you're interested in foreign cultures and foreign people. And those expenses, like I said, 12th house can be expenses or money going away from you. Now, this is a great month for you to explore any metaphysical subject, because the Ketu in the 2nd house makes your speech very spiritual. The Rahu in the 8th house, while it's great for money that can come to you from others, which is insurance money, inheritance money, and such things, it is also great for metaphysical studies. So I think if you're Leo rising, then this is a good month to start any kind of metaphysical studies. And the new moon is happening in your 11th house. So just remember, with your friends and social settings, something that was hidden from you is going to be exposed to you. So that's definitely something to watch this month. Okay. If your ascendant or your moon is in Virgo, in the sign of Virgo, then the Rahu Ketu axis is on your 1st house and 7th house. So this is all about your relationship, your partnership, how you want to make this partnership successful. You're really focused on this. Ketu being on your 1st house, you're a little detached from yourself. You're looking more at others. You're focusing on others and learning from them. But you are thinking less about yourself. So just remember to not put yourself too much on the back burner, because you will kind of become resentful later on about it. So the Ketu Rahu axis is very strong when it comes in the 1-7 axis, and it's great for relationship learnings. Okay. The new moon will happen in your 10th house. So something about your career that you did not realize in the past is going to come out to you right now in this month. And you're going to realize that you want to do something different about your career this month. The Venus-Mercury conjunction is happening in your 11th house. So friends and social settings will be very, good at this time frame. You could be hanging out with a lot of wonderful, amazing intellectual friends. That's Mercury. And you could be having a lot of creative discussions with your friends, right? The Rahu in the 7th house, this could be all about a partnership. You might be looking to partner with a friend on a certain project. Now, the Mars-Uranus conjunction, like I said, happens in your 9th house. So remember that 9th house is the father. So if you're If your father is still around, just be a little careful how you interact, and don't be too impulsive in saying something which you might regret later. The Jupiter being there, you could be going closer to meet your father. If your father is not around, it could mean that, from the past, something is coming back to you, some memories that you need to resolve. So this is definitely a great time for that. But ninth house is also the house of higher learning, higher education. So also for Virgo rising people, they use this opportunity to learn new spiritual kind of higher education, higher subjects that can help them grow spiritually and from an enlightenment standpoint. Retrograde Saturn is in your 6th house, and this is definitely a time you need to focus on your immunity, on your health. Saturn is trying to teach you some major lessons regarding your diet, what you're doing in your day-to-day routine, how you can make things better for yourself. And this long-term learning that Saturn is giving will help you over the next 30 years with your health. So whatever you're realizing now, which could be that, you want to look at like natural therapies, holistic therapies, or just overall your immunity you're concerned about, this is a great time to, kind of dissect all that and learn and improve in the area of health and strength, okay? If your ascendant or your moon is in Libra, then this is the month when your 8th house is very active. So you have Uranus and Mars in the 8th house. So money that comes to you from others will come to you very easily. Jupiter is also in the 8th house. You could be getting money from your spouse or investments or inheritance or, insurance money, all of that. And another thing is the Mars Uranus being in your 8th house. A lot of subconscious upheaval is happening, right? Through your day-to-day activities, you feel more triggered. You feel like things are going so deep in your mind. So you are learning and growing and evolving from a spiritual and an evolution standpoint through your daily activities. Now, in your 9th house, you will have the new moon, which means thoughts and memories of your father can come back. And also the 9th house being the education house or the travel house. The new moon can mean that you are looking at traveling to some new places to learn something about new cultures. Things are being exposed to you, which you never thought about before. And these plans could be made at this time. Now, Venus Mercury will be in your 10th, which means your career is doing well. People are recognizing you for the work that you put in. You're feeling good about things. You're feeling like you're able to communicate with people much better with Mercury in your 10th house. 6th house has Rahu in it. So this is definitely a time that you're really focused on your health. Everything that's happening with you, any kind of small ailment that is happening, your mind will try to make it, magnify it into this big thing. So you need to be a little careful about overthinking about your health aspects. At the same time, the Rahu being in the 6th house, this is definitely a time of change in your health related area. So use the time to learn, but don't overly get stressed out about health-related things, okay? Ketu in the 12th house can mean that you're meeting people from the past, people from your memories from the past, people from the past are coming back into your life. You're feeling more connected. You're feeling like your dreams are very connected. You feel like you're dreaming about the past a lot, right? So that's definitely something to remember. Now, if your ascendant or your moon is in Scorpio, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction happens in your 7th house. So watch out for conflicts with your spouse. You might say something that you don't mean or you may regret. Mars in the 7th house can mean sudden kind of a reaction towards things with your spouse. So, and Mars rules physical activity. So I always tell people, if Mars is transiting your 7th house, and you're having a disagreement with your spouse, just go outside, take a walk, and come back, and you might feel like you're in a much better mindset to handle this situation, okay? Because you need to drain that Mars energy before you can get to some kind of constructive discussions. So just remember that. Jupiter in the 7th house can mean that you are going to have, through these learnings with the spouse and your business partnerships too, you will have some major growth this time frame in this month. Now, Venus Mercury will be, as a Scorpio rising, will be in your 9th house. It's a good relationship with your father. You feel like things are really working out. You're understanding what your father has been saying. If he's not around, then you're thinking about the past when he said things. But, you know, a lot of healing is happening there. A lot of understanding is happening there as to what this person means to you. 9th house being your higher education and travel. Venus and Mercury there will protect you there. You will be looking to travel a lot. You'll be thinking about traveling a lot, making plans for it. And then the Saturn retrograde is in your 4th house. So this could mean that you're not really getting along much with your mother, right? There may be disagreements there. There may be karmic lessons there. You might be realizing that, you know, something that your mother said in the past is something you don't agree with, or you might argue a little bit. But Saturn brings long-term strength in the foundation. So even though these little arguments can happen with your mother, it is going to strengthen and heal your relationship for the long term. Rahu in your 5th house, you're overly protective of your children, right? Children are like the utmost important thing to you this month. So, you know, you could be like a helicopter parent sometimes when you have Rahu in the 5th house. So just be a little aware of that. They may feel a little suffocated. You know, but at the same time, this will help you build a great relationship with your kids in this time frame. Be careful of friends and social circles in this month. Ketu in the 11th house can mean that you are a little detached from that. You feel like you want to focus on yourself more, on your individuality, and you want to take a step back and take a break from groups at this time, which is fine. And once this is over, you will go back to it. But this is just a time where it's bringing the focus back to self. If your ascendant or your moon is in Sagittarius, then the Uranus-Mars conjunction is going to happen in your 6th house. So the month of July is incredibly important in terms of health-related awareness and learnings, because all of the stuff that is happening in July in your 6th house is kind of awakening you to what your health needs, what your body needs in terms of healing, right? So there could be some major things that you're learning. Digestion is something you need to watch, your stomach, your digestion. Just be aware of what you're consuming. And the Venus Mercury in your 8th house, you're feeling very awakened spiritually. You're looking at metaphysical studies. Maybe you're looking at natural holistic therapies for your health. And this will help you in the long term. Saturn retrograde in the 3rd house, you may not get along very well with siblings at this time. There may be some problems there, but you are looking at learning new things, although you have to be a little patient because retrograde Saturn could mean that things are delayed, right? So just be a little patient with that. Rahu in the 4th house, you're incredibly connected to your family at this time. You want to spend more time with them and be around them more. Maybe your work becomes work from home or something because Ketu goes into your 10th house. So you're feeling a little detached from work. Maybe you're looking to take some time off from work to spend more time with family. That could be it too. But this is definitely a time when you're focused on your home, not only in terms of family, but even in terms of repairs and renovation and such things. Or maybe you're looking to move. Those kind of things could be on the top of your mind this month. If your ascendant or your moon is in Capricorn, if you're Capricorn rising, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction happens in your 5th house of creative pursuits and children. So this means that, you know, you might have some problems with your children this month. There might be some stubbornness involved. There might be some butting heads, some arguments, and some unexpected revelations about your kids. Jupiter being there, you will have a good relationship with your children over a period of time, but this month is a little taxing with these difficult planets like Mars and Uranus there. So don't be too impulsive to judge them. because Mars can make you feel like, you want to say something to them, to your children, in an impulsive fashion. So just be a little careful of that. Hear them out, right? Venus, Mercury in the 7th house, you're having a great relationship with your spouse. You could be meeting somebody new if you're not in a relationship. And, you're feeling good about your relationship and your business partnerships. The new moon is in your 6th house. You're having major realizations about your health. You're understanding that your health is the most important thing to you. And you're realizing that, you know what, I need to work on this. Things that were hidden to you is coming out into the open. And with the Ketu in the 9th house, you are thinking about your father, right? You're thinking about the past. Things that you've done in the past are coming into your radar. You might be looking at traveling to spiritual places. You're looking to go and see some places that are Ketu related, right? Spirituality related. Rahu in your 3rd house, you want to learn. You are looking to learn some new topics, new subjects, possibly some foreign cultures, foreign languages, because Rahu rules foreign lands. And Saturn retrograde in your 2nd house, you are reassessing your finances very hard this month. You might be a little dissatisfied about expenditure, so you are going to reassess things and see, how can I do better here, right? Can I make more money? Is there more revenue streams that I can open up for myself? What can I do here to make things better? That's what your mind is thinking about in this month. Ascendant or your moon is in Aquarius, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is happening in your 4th house. So watch out for, what you say to your mother, or, you might say something impulsive that might hurt her feelings, or she might say something that might hurt your feelings. There can be some unexpected things that happen around your home front. There might be some repairs that you have to attend to. But overall, you're very happy with your home because the Jupiter is sitting there. But just for this month, with the Mars Uranus there, you are feeling a little. Now, the Saturn retrograde is on your 1st house. So you are looking to change things about yourself. You're like, you know what, I need to make some major changes to the way I maybe look or think, or it could be your dreams and your ambitions that you're looking at. But, Saturn retrograde in the 1st house can delay things a lot around you because it's just, the 1st house is yourself. Now, Rahu in the 2nd is good for money. You are making good money this month. Although if there is any money that is supposed to come to you from others, like inheritance or investment, insurance money, things like that, with Ketu in the 8th, there could be some delays in that, okay? But it should be fine once Ketu moves out of your 8th house. But you are very spiritual this month. Ketu in the 8th house, you're really thinking about metaphysical subjects and metaphysical. The Venus-Mercury conjunction is happening in your 6th house. So you're feeling good. You're feeling good about your health. You might be looking at some new diets or new changes you want to do to your health, your exercise routine, your daily routine. So, those could be some things you're thinking about, but this is a good conjunction in your 6th house. It could bring some major realizations that will help you in the long run. The new moon will happen in your 5th house, which means you're really, really focused on your children, but you're also realizing that there are some things that you need to do different in the way you deal with your children and your creative pursuits. You might be thinking of doing something brand new in this month. Now, with the new moon in the 5th house, you have to, with the new moon in the 5th house, be a little, I would advise you to be a little more patient with your children because they are trying to tell you something which is very important for this relationship in the long run. So just hear them out. But even in terms of creative pursuits, I think some new ideas, brand new ideas are going to come to you. You're going to start some new projects in the month of July. Now, if your ascendant or your moon is in Pisces, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is in your 3rd house. So, that impulsive, sudden, quick kind of nature can apply to your siblings, your co-workers, or your cousins, neighbors. So, be a little patient when it comes to those interactions, and think before you speak. Jupiter in your third house, you're feeling very creative. You want to express yourself in the best way. So overall, you're protected, but just for the month of July, be a little careful when you speak. The Rahu in your first house, you're incredibly focused on yourself. I mean, that is all that matters. You're really, really thinking everything about, what you can do as an individual, what can you achieve, what are your dreams and goals, your ambitions. You're not really looking at your relationship. You're really focused on self in this month. Now, Ketu in the seventh house can bring a little detachment from your spouse, or you may just be letting them do what they're doing. But it can also mean that your spouse is taking on something that is very spiritual, right? Maybe there's a new project that they're starting that's spiritual. Now, the new moon in the fourth house, there could be things about your home that you realize this month. Some new things that you want to change or renovate, or it could be a repair that needs to happen. And the Venus Mercury in your fifth house gives you a great relationship with your children. You'll be spending more time with them and thinking about their education. It's Mercury in the fifth house. Doing more creative projects with them. If you don't have children, you could be thinking about having children this month. Those plans for the future can be made, right? Retrograde Saturn in the 12th house of dreams and sleep means that you are, probably having some very intuitive and psychic dreams about the past and your past lives, past in this lifetime. People that you've met in the past come in your dreams. Foreign travels can be a little delayed this month if you're planning to travel this month, but don't worry, because once that retrograde Saturn goes direct, and once the Mars moves out of Taurus, which is going to be around the mid of August, your travel issues will get resolved. Okay. Until then, there's going to be some delays and, small things like cancellations of flights or delays in flights or lost baggage and things like that. So be a little aware of that. But, this is a great month for you to learn too. But not only this month, this entire year, Jupiter is in your third house of learning. So, even though there may be some delays this month, the rest of the year, you should be very good with traveling, learning, teaching, any of those aspects of your life. So those are the predictions for each sign for this month. And I hope you got something out of that. Again, I want to remind you, this is your sidereal degrees. So make sure you look up the chart on my website to see which ascendant sign or moon sign you should listen for. If you know both, listen to both. Both will affect you. The ascendant is overall kind of events that will happen, and the moon is how you feel about those events. So both will have effect on you. If you have any further questions about this month or the rest of the year, feel free to book a reading with me so we can look more in detail at your chart and your karmic lessons in this lifetime and the predictions for the upcoming 2 years. So I can't wait to meet you. Until the next time we meet, thank you so much, and please support my channel, and I'll see you soon.